Hello out there in video land. Hello out there in radio land. My name is Paul Calamere. This is Your City, Your Voice coming to you live from downtown Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada. And I'm here today in the studios of 4680Q Radio with my guest, Chris RIGAS. A salute. And we are going to be talking two things today, and that's it. This is serious business, you guys, so you better listen out there. We're talking the tariff wars, number one.
Yep.
I said to Chris, can we do about 20 minutes, half an hour? And he goes, can we do it till like 2 o'clock? So we should have no problems with that. And then we're going to be talking about this election coming up between PP, Carnival, the Carnival worker, Carney. What's his first name? Carnage. What's his first name? Marco Carnival. Carnage. And that's all we're talking about today. That's it. We're going to talk about these two things that we're getting out of here. So before we get going, and this is going to be a slobber knocker, so hang around. How's that look? Can you see your face there? I think you're all right. Huh?
I'm okay. And who wants to see my mug anyways?
Oh, everybody wants to see that beautiful face over here. I think we could just turn this down a bit.
Okay.
Yeah, just so we can get you a good view. I'm using the new microphone here. That's why. New mic and stand, and we're seeing if we can make this work. And I think we're pretty well. We're pretty okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. As long as we get the message out right.
That's it. That's all that really matters.
And speaking of the message, I have to get my sponsors in here. Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop, Pete's Pizza on Victoria Avenue, and Hamill Machine Company. Now, we're looking at the weather out here, and we got nice weather coming. What's it going to be, Chris? Tomorrow's
going to go up to, I think, 18 or 17
degrees,
or 18.
So get on your bikini, shave that bikini line, and let's go. Summer's here. And you want to make sure your car is running good, too. You don't want any close shaves with your car, I'll tell you that. You want it to run great for the summer. You got to get those winter tires off. You'll destroy them on the pavement. So go see Wild Bill's. Go see Ken Hunter at Wild Bill's. He's going to take care of you. He has the latest diagnostic equipment to tell you anything that's wrong with your car and fix it. And he's going to make sure your brakes are good. He's going to make sure your systems are good. Your air conditioning's working. Everything you need for a happy summer of motoring. And that's when your kids want to go places. You don't want to be breaking down with screaming kids, right? Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop on Oakwood Drive next to the Kia dealership. If you get in a wreck, take your car there. He has a full body shop. Bring it in wrecked. Send it out in showroom condition. You're good to go. Wild Bill's, tell them Paul from Your City, Your Voice sent you. And by the way, there's a button down here called subscribe. What you want to do is hit that button, hit the notification button, thumbs up, thumbs down, comments, because we always say the comments on the show. I'm going to save the comments from a couple days till tomorrow on Finally Friday. But yeah, give us some comments. We'll get them on air and see what you think about what's going on. Okay, Chris. I've been laughing about this tariff stuff for about a month now.
Yeah.
January 20th, Trump said he was going to drop these down after the inauguration. He's signing executive orders like crazy. And everybody's been crying since then. But I haven't. I've been laughing. Because if you understand Trump, you'll understand exactly how he works, how he negotiates. He's a businessman, not a politician. So you know what he's doing is to get a reaction out of you and then get you to do what he would like you to do. Right. And of course, the big battle between Ford and Trump, this big blowhard up in Toronto, this lughead, he got straightened out quick enough. He threatened 25% tariff, and he was going to cut off all the electricity. He's going to flick a switch like you can just walk into a room like at his Muskoka cottage.
Yeah.
And flick the switch. And then Ford said, oh, that's fine. I'll see your 25 and I'll raise you another 25. And then Ford said, oh, maybe we should have a meeting and get together before I do this, right? That, it's cooler head prevailed. And we're saying the same kind of crazy threats from all levels of government. And what's your take on this, Chris? Give us the lowdown on tariffs and what the hell's going on.
Okay. Well, first of all, reciprocal tariffs are it's a stupid idea. You can't win a tit for tat with the U.S. All it does is actually amplify whatever they're doing to us. It will amplify the negative effect on our population. So, if we are to suffer any economic consequences, first of all, 25% tariffs on some of our stuff. Yes, it increases the cost for Americans and American companies who are buying our products. But at the end of the day, when you ship the raw material, because we're basically a raw material exporter, right? We don't really ship finished products down there usually. So once you ship it down there, even at a 25% with a dollar change, with the mitigation of the dollar difference and stuff, and once it gets to the American shelves, at the end of the day, it's like a 3 to 7% retail shelf increase by the time it gets to the retail shelf. So your input costs rise by 25%, but that's 25% on your material cost, not on your labor, not on your overhead, not on anything else that you're doing. So you take that into account when you're actually selling something. So while it's a 25% increase to the raw input cost, it's not at the finished product. So by the time it gets to the finished product, like I said, it's only on certain things, vegetables, that kind of thing. It's a direct cost because there's not that much labor involved in the processing. So there's some retail components that we might sell down there that will be affected even more severely. But if they're buying that kind of stuff from Canada, the retail end of things, it's because there's nowhere else to buy it. So they're still going to buy it. I mean, the American consumer may not purchase as much on the shelf at the end of the day, but they're still going to buy it. So, I mean, everybody's freaking out over these things. There's going to be massive job losses and this and that with a 25%. And the steel and aluminum, I can see where it might have a little bit of an effect. But here's the reality. We're a country of 41 million people. We are a market of 41 million people.
We're that big?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't think we were that big.
Well, we're that big, 41 point something million.
We must have imported 5 million since I last looked.
There's a bunch of 10 years ago it was like 33 million. But anyways,
yeah, exactly.
So, but the point is that, our homegrown industry, while may be smaller, will not be eliminated. We have our own market to sell to, and I'll get to the market aspect of things later. But our industry is not just going to disappear overnight. Maybe the auto sector might suffer quite a bit. They've made it pretty clear that they want to tariff that stuff, and sooner or later, GM and Ford and Stellantis and whoever else is going to produce here is going to look to moving some of their production or maybe all of it down there just because of but it's hard for them to do overnight anyways. So they may carve out something there, but look, there's a lot of ways you can deal with this, but people are exploding over nothing. We've got our leadership going crazy, going nuts, saying this and that. They're going to poke the guy in the eye. Like, why would you want to do that? So you have to, when you're in a negotiation with a guy like this, you just look at the person, you figure him out, and you figure out what your path is. So you want to be in a negotiating position. There's a clear indication when Zelensky went into the office with Trump 2 weeks ago, and after that whole meeting there, Trump came out in the media and he said, "What good would it have done me to start slamming Vladimir Putin in the media and in front of the world just to please this guy? Okay, how can I make a deal if I insult that guy?"
I agree.
Now anybody who paid attention to what Trump said after that meeting could have understood that it's probably not the best way to make a deal with him if you start trying to punch him in the face.
You trash talk at him and then asking him for a deal.
And the fact is that they're in a position of strength and we're not. Now, we have avenues of response, but at the end of the day, the response may not be enough to change their minds. So what is the best option? You have to figure out what your best paths forward are. Okay. And I'm not saying you got to you have to relinquish all your power and all your sovereignty and all this stuff. No, you can be a strong, sovereign country, make a good deal with him, make a good deal that's good for you. He's using this tactic as a negotiating position. He's telling us basically, listen, I'm the guy in the room who makes and in a way, I mean, he's right. They're the largest economy in the world. There's 350 million people, or 340 something, right on our border. 50% of our population live below the 49th parallel, actually, in southern Ontario, right? So, and in Quebec and in Nova Scotia and whatever. So let's be really clear about where we have to, as Canadians, we need to actually look in the mirror and recognize where we sit. We don't have to look at where they are. They are where they are. And we can call them bullies and we can call them, they're not, I hate that term. Like, they're bullies. Like, no, you sound like a whiner. Like, shut up.
Yeah.
You sound like a wimp. Okay? No, they're not bullies. They're trying to make a deal. And if we're smart, let's got to be smart. I think I talked about this, last time I was here, about 6 weeks ago? Something like that?
Yep.
Yeah. Anyways, I talked about this very thing at that time. It's time to make a smart deal with them. I think we can go, I think we have a position here that we can turn this to our benefit in a lot of ways. But, Dougie, like I said, Doug is, he's been walking a fence for the last 4 or 5 years. And, between being a liberal and being a conservative. And it bothers me that he's taken the position where he thinks he needs to go and poke that guy in the eye. And it doesn't, I mean, what did it do? Like, and I said it right after he did it. I mean, on my Facebook post, I said, Doug, it's time to be quiet because you're going to hurt the country here. And sure enough, he went on about his 25% tariffs. And I'll tell you what 25% energy tariffs does to the United States cost of electricity. It adds 1 cent per kilowatt hour. 1 cent per kilowatt hour. Now, if you think the average American can't absorb that, maybe a few of their electricity, and it's 1.5. It's only to 1.5 million homes. So it's 1 cent per kilowatt hour. I can't remember what the exact figures are of megawatts that we send down there on a daily basis. Okay, but it works out. I figured it out when I did. I can't remember the numbers in my head right now. And it's 1 cent per kilowatt hour. That's what we are adding on to the electricity costs.
And here's my thing is that, listen, the United States has lots of power. They are resourceful. So all they're going to do is just flip their own switches and direct their power to Michigan and Minnesota and Wisconsin, wherever Dougie's going to cut it off. He's going to go flip the switch. And eventually, they won't need our power anymore. The only reason they buy it right now is because it's cheap. We put it to them cheap. We give them our overflow, our production we don't need, and we sell it to them real cheap. And they buy it because it's cheaper than producing it themselves.
Exactly.
But if you force them, you shut off the switch and they can't get it, they will find another way to get it. They'll flip up their own switches and ramp up anything that they've got going. And eventually they'll say, oh, we don't need Canada anymore. As a matter of fact, we're going to buy American. We're going to buy from American power producers, not Canadian power producers, even though it's more expensive. Hey, do you remember what you're telling everybody? Buy Canadian. It might be a little bit more expensive, but we're supporting Canada. Oh, like Tarzan, me Tarzan, you Jane, a bully. Canadians are crying. Poor Canadians. We always get the best. Poor Canadians. They're bullies.
Yeah.
It's sickening. People don't use. Listen, look at this. What's that say?
Please use it.
And what's the guy holding?
The brain.
Please use your brain. Please
Yes.
use it. Honest to God. And they're going to do the same with everything. Everything they do, the United States has, they can produce. All it's going to do is force them into a position where they're going to do it. And once they do it, Canada's out.
You're out at that point. That's the thing.
And you're talking like 3% of an increase to the consumer. We're talking on $10 worth of stuff, 30 cents.
At the end of the day.
Right now, you go and buy a big ticket item like a $40,000 car.
Yeah, maybe it makes a
It's going to make a little bit of a difference. But, the car dealers will negotiate with you too. You never buy a car for what it's listed for anyway. You always save $3,000. And so, like I would say probably this is shooting yourself in the foot by this bullying and everything else. Am I crazy or what?
No, you're not. You're not crazy. And somebody said to me, "Well, why did Trump declare a national energy emergency then?" Well, it's power to 1.5 million homes. The reason why he did that is because, in case there are certain areas that are affected by this in a way that he needs to respond quickly because the infrastructure doesn't exist for them to compensate for any cutoff of electricity, then he needs to be able to act quickly. So he declared that national energy emergency so he could put the resources in place when he needs them, as he needs them, in case that were to be the case. So what he's doing is he's signaling to us, we're going to do what it takes. Now you have to understand, so, politically, and people say, well, there's a political thing, price to be paid. There is a political price to be paid. And you have to understand that if you poke him in the eye, he's going to be willing to pay the price because he's that way. And they'll take that very seriously. I just want to know what the average Canadian believes will happen if they consider this a national security threat, like the cutoff of electricity. Like I need you need to understand that is a possibility, right? That you now are threatening their national security.
Exactly.
And they act differently when that's the case. Okay, this isn't that goes beyond any trade dispute or calling someone a bully or something like that. So you have to tread carefully in those kind of areas, because if those guys in office, and you have to understand who you're dealing with, it's not just Trump. Like it's Peter Navarro's his trade guy. You've got a bunch of guys in the back that are very hawkish on this stuff. And you also have a national security team right now that is very hawkish on national security. So you have to be about the American homeland, not necessarily internationally, but about the American homeland. And we are on their border. So they are looking at us through one of those lenses. Okay, they're looking at us through many lenses right now, but they're looking at us through one of those lenses. And if you're considered a national security threat these days with this particular administration, you can bet they're going to act on it. Okay?
Oh yeah.
And they're acting on it with the cartels. They're acting on it with that operate out of Mexico on their borders.
Panama
Canal, all this stuff. You have to understand is that they are taking this stuff very seriously. They're looking at it. It's not just trade. Like, we are a little bit narrow visioned in Canada. We think, he's just he's after our whatever. No. They're looking at it through a bunch of different lenses. Okay. And Greenland, that is part of it too. The trade aspect of it is one part of it. Okay. It's not the whole thing. So my other point was, Canadians were very sensitive to. I mean, the 51st state stuff it was a joke, but I think he recognized pretty quickly how sensitive we are to it, and he keeps using it.
He does every time he changes,
and he uses it in order to attack our insecurities. Trump has read The Art of War by Sun Tzu. That's a guarantee because I see him doing it. So he attacks where he thinks we're weak, and he thinks we have a inferiority complex.
Yeah, especially about our sovereignty.
Yeah, and which we do to a certain extent.
We do to our big brothers to the south.
Yeah,
we're the poor American cousins.
And so he's exploiting that to create a little bit of chaos and division amongst our thought process here, and because you can't get clear support as a government with what to do when your population doesn't know, when they're too concerned about their national identity, which isn't going away, by the way. Okay, we're not going to become the 51st state. I just wanted to let everybody know there. We're not calm down. It's not going to happen. We're not going to do that. I mean, sure, yeah, if we threaten them with war or we cut off their electricity and their oil and their stuff, then they might take some action. But at the end of the day, no, we're not going to become the 51st state. So give that one a, give that one a, just put that one to bed. Don't have to think it is a joke. He's just doing it to antagonize us, guaranteed. Yeah. They're all doing that to antagonize us now. His whole his whole caucus is getting in on the act.
Oh yeah, yeah.
His press secretary, his commerce secretary, they're all saying it, and they're going to say it. I bet you in the meeting with Ford today, they're going to say it. Ford, you want to become the 51st state to Ontario?
We can use Ontario.
So I bet you they're going to say it to him.
Well, they've already offered Daniel Smith to be the 51st state in Alberta.
Yeah,
and I guarantee that.
And so I saw a picture with an American plane in Quebec today. Now I don't know if that with an official United States Air Force, like an Air Force 2 or whatever plane in Quebec today. And I don't know if it was a real picture of it there or not, or someone just said it was. But if it is, and they've sent some people up there, I guarantee you, is to talk to Quebec about securing that high grade nickel. Or those and discussing with them about other things, and it could be to stoke. You have to understand how the Americans will work too. They could want a stoke division in Canada where people want to break apart. They could be saying to those guys over there, "Oh, we'll support your independence push," and then they'll take the rest of Canada. Well, if we get stupid, but why don't we just be smart? It's a very simple solution. It is. It really is. And if Quebec doesn't want to come along, then who cares? Offer them a free trade deal. A real free trade deal. No more tariffs. Nothing. I got people out there saying, "Oh," and you read articles in the newspapers. Okay, could we become part of the EU? Is it? We share values and all that. Yeah, we don't share a border, and we share. We're across an ocean. First of all, could Canada become a part of the EU? If you're willing to become part of the EU, why wouldn't you be willing to discuss that kind of relationship with the United States?
I don't get it.
Like, are you dumb?
Stupid? Are you
stupid? Like, are you stupid? It's 340 million on your borders. We already have integrated rail lines, roads, air travel. What is it about you people that would want you to consider an association with the EU and not with the US? Is France going to come to your defense if China comes and attacks us?
No.
No, they're not.
No,
they're not. The French aren't. No. And I don't think they can fight a war anyways,
Listen, we could throw a stone and hit Niagara Falls, New York from here. And we don't want to trade with them.
The stupidity of it. These
10,000 miles away.
These people are morons. Okay, morons. Anybody who suggests that we should seek a free trade become part of the EU before they suggest that we have that kind of relationship with the U.S. is a moron. That's it. Plain and simple.
They just don't get it.
They don't get it.
They don't get it.
They couldn't get it if it hit them right upside the head. Like Chrystia Freeland said, "Oh, we'll have an association with France and Britain, and they've got nukes."
Well,
France and Britain are going to nuke the U.S. on behalf of Canada. They're going to come to our rescue.
Oh, yeah.
The British are too busy arresting their own citizens in their country for posting on Facebook.
The states already threw them out once.
Yeah.
Did they want it again?
Did you remember? You see that one where Starmer was in there 2 days before Zelensky, or 2 days before Zelensky, or in the White House there, and he says we've had the biggest and longest. We share a security relationship with the United States that goes back to, and we want to move forward. We're partners in this security. And then Trump turns to him and says, "Could you take on Russia by yourself?"
What did he say?
And he was tongue-tied at that point because the U.S. can take them on by themselves. So it's not really a partnership, is it? Right? Yeah. You guys go and thumb your noses at the Russians because you know that we're going to protect you. Like, you couldn't do it on your own.
No, they got to come back to reality.
So that's the thing about these guys. They're all like, "Oh, we've got a part." It's not a partnership because the U.S. would shoulder that load. Okay, so it's not a true partnership. Partnership is 50-50. Okay, it's not what I mean.
It's never been 50-50.
It's never 50-50.
Not with them.
But so if Russia and the UK went to war, you think that the UK could defend themselves really in the long term? That whole island be wiped out before they got anything over to friggin' Russia. It's crazy.
Well, the Germans were this close before the US got in there.
Well, that's it, right?
Yeah, they already took over France.
Yeah.
right?
No, yeah, exactly. Well, France and they were
And the
bombing
next step was Britain.
Yeah,
Across the channel.
exactly. Like, so let's be realistic here.
We got to.
Let's be realistic about where we are. Like, take a look at a map. First of all, take a look at a map, Canadians. Look at where we are. Where do our major population centers are? Like, they're all below the 49th, by the way. That's like I think that 70% of our population lives below the 49th.
Yes.
Okay, 70%.
Yeah, it's all Southern Ontario and all.
Yeah, and even Nova Scotia
and
and New Brunswick and all those, they're all below 49th.
Well, they got all heard about that Trump said, it's just a line on a map. You can just erase it. Somebody drew a line with a ruler.
But
they really get mad at that.
So that's the thing. Like, he's poking at us. Like, he just wants to create that insecurity, because you got insecurity and you got the threats and you're dealing with a thing. You got that, and it's easier to negotiate. You understand? Like, just stay strong, stay quiet, stay strong. Understand. Make a plan. Have a plan for responses. I know what I would plan to do if I was the guy calling the shots. There'd be a couple of things that I would. I mean, in the end, I wouldn't win, because you can't win that, right? With them, you can't. You can't. It's 1% of their GDP, and it's 25% of ours. Okay, you can't win that. You can't win that. But you can cause enough damage. That's the whole trick, right? It's like, you're getting attacked. You're gonna die. The whole point is to cause enough damage so your guy's limping all over the place and you can't fight more. Okay, so because they're it's like it's in the wild, right? Like a predator is will avoid the strong or the one who will inflict damage on them, because they understand that, like, unless they're really starving, they won't try to eat that other animal, right? If it can inflict damage on them, they'll go for the weakest and the easiest.
That's right. The oldest, the weakest, the youngest.
So all you have to do is stay strong, have a plan, and for response that can cause economic damage. Don't go out there and tell them about it. Like, don't go out there and say, hey, we're going to do this and we're going to do that, and I'm going to show them, and I'm going to
do it.
Give it up. That's politics. You're too busy trying to look good in front of cameras instead of taking care of your people. So just be quiet, make a plan, and stick to it.
But I just hate when they threaten and they don't do it. Just if you're going to threaten, do it.
Don't threaten. Like,
don't pull out a gun unless you're going to pull the trigger, because you're going to get shot.
That's it. Like, it's just, I sometimes I shake my head. I can't believe, the mistakes being made. And like, I'm like, don't we have, like, the Americans have, like, psychological analysts when they look at other leaders and they look at things. They do a whole analysis psychologically and all this stuff and all these other things, like, and they have scenarios and they have response scenarios based on, to respond to any possible situation. Don't we have any of that in our government, like in the background, like where we have teams of people advising our guys on what they think they see out of this guy? Like, isn't it pretty simple to look at Trump and say, look, he actually wrote books about how he does things. So if you read his book, you would know what he's going to do. And if you know what he's going to do, then you can understand what you need to do. So, like, it's pretty simple. Listen, I'm not saying we can beat him in a trade war. You can't do that. You can't. You can inflict damage and make them feel pain, for sure. Maybe it'll turn enough of the population's opinion to a point where now they're not willing to endure that pain over something like a trade dispute with Canada. But if you make it a national security threat, guess what? They're going to be willing to endure the pain. You understand? So there's a cutoff point, and you have to be careful about where you go with it, right? You have to be. So if you're going to inflict that kind of pain where it becomes a national security threat, you got to be willing to go to the wall.
You've crossed the wall. You've crossed the line when you do that.
Like, so it's a funny situation. But I see some of these comments on Facebook and other media things.
Let me get to my second sponsor. We're going to get back to that. I got a couple more things to talk about.
Sure.
My second sponsor, Pete's Pizza on Victoria Avenue. You want a great pizza? Go down to Victoria Avenue, Pete's Pizza, and you are going to get yourself a great pizza. Mike knows how to make a pizza over there. He uses the Mancini family recipe for the crust and for the sauce. He uses the freshest ingredients, beautiful Saputo mozzarella with brick cheese, mixes them up, puts them on the pizza in the right ratio, fresh ingredients. You can't beat it. And they're not just a one-trick pony over there. They make fantastic wings, poutine, you name it, panzerotti, they got it all. Pete's Pizza on Victoria Avenue. They know how to make it and make it right, and they're consistent. They do it consistently. 905-374-2222 or petespizzavictoria.ca for your online order. They use Skip. They use the whole shot. Anything you need. Open till 2 in the morning on weekends for your convenience. You can't beat it. Go down there, get a pizza. Tell them Paul from your city, your voice sent you, and they're going to be happy. I'm going to be happy. You're going to be happy. Support our sponsors because they support the show and they support the city. Okay, here's another one that gets me. When people start crying about they made a deal, Trump made a USMCA deal, and I'm going, listen, you guys. As soon as, just like you said, as soon as there's a security threat, fentanyl, the border, illegal aliens, criminals, terrorists, that USMCA goes out. It goes out the window. Trump has to protect America. He's asking us to get our act in order and help him to protect America. And for all you people who say we only shipped 43 pounds last year. Well, that'll kill all of Canada. Number one. But number two, the RCMP just said there's 4,000 organized crime labs making fentanyl in Canada.
Not labs, organizations.
Organizations.
It should be more labs.
Maybe more, right?
Yeah.
And they're not just making pills and shipping them around. They're bringing in the raw ingredients from China to make it. And they're also shipping that. So it's a bit more than people think, only 4.3 pounds or whatever they said it was, some crazy number. But why would they care about that? Hey, they care about it because it's affecting 100,000 Americans every year, killing them. And we're getting the same in Canada, but nobody seems to want to do anything. So Trump's saying, get your act in order, get your house in order, and let's fix it.
No, if we had their population, we would be losing 50,000 people a year.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. Because there's 6,000 people a year in Canada
and
die from fentanyl overdoses.
And who doesn't want to stop this?
Right.
Apparently, there are people because they're mad at Trump.
Yeah.
So I don't get it. And the second thing I want to talk about is this Confederation, Canada. I mean, everybody's got to realize that nobody wanted to join Canada as a confederation. Quebec still doesn't want to be in it. The West has never liked what Ontario's done to them over the years. And the BC, we had to build them a railway to get them to sign up. The guys on the East Coast couldn't care less. They're blue nosers. They'd rather be with Maine and Rhode Island and all them, the maritime states. BC is La La Land. They're Seattle, Washington people, and Oregon and California. I mean, really, this confederation is kind of a mishmash of people who never wanted to be there in the first place, but somehow we conned them all into joining. And we still have provinces like Quebec who don't want to be part of it.
Yeah.
Why is everybody crying?
I don't know. I get a little upset at Alberta anyways, just because, now that they're in, they have the resource-rich economy and it's favorable to them. That's great. But back in the 80s and early 90s, they were the welfare state. Everybody else in the country had to support them. We did.
We did.
Send there's a lot of money went to Alberta and transport, but their memories are short over there. You know what I mean? They bother me a little bit, those Albertans sometimes. But anyways, the point is that there is a beneficial solution to this. And like I said, I see some of these comments on Facebook. Let's join the EU. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's do this. Let's just negotiate with the Americans. Let's make a nice deal, a nice free trade deal, something that we all will benefit from. I think a complete free trade agreement with between us, no tariffs, no barriers to services, no tariffs. I think that sort of thing goes very well.
I think that's it. We got to negotiate.
All services, people, whatever, can move back and forth freely over the border. We still are a country just the way they have it in the EU. Italy's still Italy. Spain's still Spain. France is still France. Germany's still Germany. But you can move goods, all automobiles, all whatever, cheese, wines, breads across the border with no barrier. Why wouldn't we want that as a country? Here's the thing about that economically, and people say, "Oh, we're going to lose all our industry to the States if that's the case." Why would we? Why would any factory that's been established here pick up and leave just because? And now they have the ability to have no barrier to trade at all. Like nothing, no inspections, tariffs, no nothing. Like no inspections, no anything. Like the stuff moves freely, right? The only inspections that need to be done are at your external ports. Right,
coming in,
like your seaports and your airports.
That's it.
That's it. So you remove that barrier completely. You know how efficient that is for trade.
Hey, Canada doesn't even have free trade between provinces.
Well, it doesn't, right? I mean, it does, and it doesn't, right? But I'm just saying, like, can you imagine, like, why would we lose even one job? And here's the thing about big in industry, right? Like they like to locate closer to where their raw materials are, right? Just for the sake of they don't have to have 6 different transport companies to get it to them.
Right, logistics.
Right? So, you might have a factory in, I don't know, Indiana, okay? That might say, hey, we're using all this nickel from northern Quebec and, northern Ontario. In Sudbury. Why don't we locate somewhere in Ontario now? Maybe not too far into Ontario, but far enough that we reduce our transport costs, okay? And we still have access. We have good infrastructure that gets us to the U.S. market, okay? We have rail lines. We have all that stuff that allows for distribution to the U.S. market and the Canadian market. We can have the factory up there where our dollar, the American dollar, goes further, right? Why wouldn't we do that? If Canada, here's the other thing. So what that free trade deal causes is it allows us to compete with American industry, right? So now our regulations need to come to a level that is sustainable to attract jobs into Canada. And we can do that. I think we can compete. We've got cheaper. If you look at it up there, it's cheaper land. It's cheaper. I mean, we can make adjustments for those industries on hydro and water. We've got more water, that's for sure, available. We got all this other stuff. I mean, it's so much like we take a narrow view. Like we're going to lose all these jobs if we don't have these protections. I call baloney. And even the dairy farmers in Quebec, which are really the biggest obstacle to any kind of free trade deal. They're the ones who are scuttling the EU deal. They're the ones who are causing us problems in the Pacific deal. They're the ones who are causing us problems right now with the Americans. Dairy's a huge thing. But why can't these guys compete with American dairy farmers? Everything's going to be turned into factory farms from the States. And we're going to have the same problems they have there with the egg producers. And no, we won't. So why can't we compete? So, American milk is allowed to have BGH and RBST in it. They're producers. It's hormone filled. So you think our dairy farmers couldn't sell their milk to the States at the same price the Americans get, which right now is almost equal to ours. Like they're getting about the same money. We could get that in US dollars, actually, and actually might be more beneficial to them. Like, it's a narrow view. And then they could sell it and advertise it as hormone-free butter and milk to the U.S. and they would have no restrictions on how much they could produce
because there's no tariffs.
And there's no quota.
Yeah, nothing.
Okay, so you could literally have a niche market set up. All this northern clean milk, with the northern waters. You advertise it. Oh, the cows drink the friggin' the glacial waters, and they roam free in the fields, and you just put an advertising campaign, and the Americans will eat that stuff up. But for some reason, our farmers need basically they're on welfare, right? They're on constant welfare from the Canadian government.
Well, you know, just the
Actually, not the
idea,
Canadian government, consumers.
just the idea of any business in Canada having unfettered access to 350 million people. Just that alone.
Can we not compete industrially?
Can
we
you
not?
imagine what would happen to our industry?
I think it'd explode. I think that Canada offers a lot to companies, you know, as far as workforce and all that other stuff goes. Now, I don't believe it should include Mexico. Don't get me wrong. Like, I don't think Mexico should be included in this kind of deal, just because there's other issues there, right? So you have, it's a disparity. You get the situation that you have in Europe, in that situation where, you know, the southern European countries can't match the industrial output of the northern Europeans, and the northern European countries take advantage of the south, and then they got all these cross complaints and all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, I think because Canada and the US are kind of like at parity when it comes to median income and all that stuff, we're kind of almost on the same level. You know, I think it would work well. I think we would do very well. I think our standard of living would go up greatly. I think our GDP would I think we would grow like crazy. You know,
I agree.
Why not do it? Like, we have very little to lose by engaging in this kind of deal. Like, very little. And our sovereignty would never lose it. Well, we would never lose it.
You think you're going to lose your sovereignty? Go to Chippewa and ask anybody in Chippewa where they're from. Are they from Niagara Falls or are they from Chippewa? And you'll understand sovereignty, because they will tell you they're from Chippewa. They don't care if they were taken over by Niagara Falls. And go tell somebody from Willoughby they're from Chippewa and see what happens.
Yeah.
You know, you think Texans don't have their own identity?
No, exactly. I mean,
yeah.
No, look,
they don't lose their identity.
And here's where Canadians should be upset, and how kind of dumb we are. So California has 3 million less people. It's about 39 million people in California. Okay.
Yep.
They're 1/10 the size of us land-wise. All right. Yet their GDP is $3.8 trillion per year, which is 1.6 trillion more than ours.
Ours is around 2.7, right?
No, ours is about like 2.2.
2.2?
I'm going back to 2023 numbers. I don't know what it is today, but I couldn't say.
It's around 2.5.
Let's just say that way. But anyways, their GDP is a good 30% higher than ours. Okay?
And
why?
It's a state.
And it's a state. And they don't have nearly the resources. In fact, they have no water. And Gavin Newsom showed us that. Right? When they couldn't put out a fire. And they got no water. Okay? You know, I mean, why does California have a GDP larger than the whole country of Canada? It's larger, and not by a little bit. It's not just doesn't beat us out by $100-200 billion. It beats us out by $1.5 trillion. So why is that? You know, Canadians really got to stop and look in the mirror at what's going on, and realize that we need to get into a beneficial relationship with the U.S.
We really do.
We really do. And that beneficial relationship is complete and utter free trade. 100%. That's it. Like, stop thinking you're going to go to war. Stop thinking it's politics and you're going to be able to win this. You can't. You're not going to win this. And economically, it's more beneficial for you to find the good solution. And the good solution is remove barriers. Don't put up more. Don't negotiate any for a little bit less. Just get them out of the way. Get out of the way. Get the governments out of the way of the prosperity of your people.
I agree. And, you know, this is like a once in a lifetime golden opportunity. It's never been offered before by the United States, and it hasn't been offered to anybody but Canada. This is our chance to really, really, really get a union going with the United States. We don't have to be the 51st state,
nope.
But we want to be tied economically to them. It would do Canada a lot of good, and it would do the people a lot of good. And that we can't let ego and everything else get in the way. This is about, and if you listen to Kevin O'Leary, he'll tell you, it's about doing what's best for every Canadian. And this is probably the offer of the century. We're never going to get it again. Nobody else is getting it in the world except Canadians. So if you think Trump hates Canadians, no, he wouldn't make this offer if he didn't. And the 51st state is what he's kind of playing with us with, but ultimately he would love to have a union, an economic union with us, and we should accept the offers at some level.
I think that if you put that on the table with Trump and his team, I think they absolutely go for it. I think they would absolutely go for it. And I think we would benefit immensely. I think that Canada would do so well. We're still Canada. We're still Canadians. We're still going to have our hockey teams. We're still going to have our stuff. Nothing about that's going to change.
You're still going to have Absolutely on Wednesdays.
That's it.
I'll give my show a plug.
Nothing else. You still can cling on to like your the healthcare
Beaver tails.
And maybe it'll get better actually because we'll have more revenues at that point. But maybe we'll be able to make our system even better at that point.
Well, you might be able to get an MRI because they have
maybe we could buy a couple of MRI machines so we don't have to wait 3 months.
Yeah, they have like 37 MRIs per million. We have like 9.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Or 6 or something.
So listen, people, stop thinking that they're the enemy. Stop thinking that Trump's the enemy. Stop thinking that he's a bad guy. Get over the TDS and look past the person. Look past the person.
And look
towards the policy. Look towards the policy.
Yep.
And the policy is he's been elected to do certain things. He campaigned on it. He got elected with a majority. So you're not going to change. All your crying and complaining ain't going to change a thing over down there. Okay.
It makes me laugh. He's only been there 5 or 6 weeks.
Yeah,
he's got 4 more years to go.
Can you imagine if we had a leader who managed to create this much? Call it animosity or this much action.
Yes.
Okay. In 6 weeks, and it's for them, it's always going to end up in a positive because he's dealing from a position of strength. But it could end up in a positive for us too. Like we are. It doesn't matter. Like look at the border. Go. Like I said, go get yourself a map. Go look at the border and see where we are. We're right next to them. Right. The land you can walk over. Okay.
Right from here.
Even. Okay. You can walk over. So
I'm going to get to my next sponsor, my third sponsor, and then we're going to go into this election coming up for the last 15 minutes of the show here. My third sponsor, Hamel Machine Company. Hamel's been around since 1948 in Niagara Falls, serving industry and serving us, citizens. They're the guys you go to if anything in your household breaks that's metal. They can fix it. They can repair it. They can make you a new one, machine you a new one. They deal with us as clients as well as industry. But for industry, they're unbelievable. They're innovators. They create programs and machines and solutions for industry around Niagara Falls, rich products, the wine industry. They've created agricultural products to harvest hydroponics that have shortened the harvesting time to seconds rather than minutes. These guys have been around since 1948. You don't hear about them that often, but believe me, industry in Niagara Falls knows, the city, the region know, because they get their equipment fixed there. Anything that needs to be machined, and even if you need back gates for your backyard to go across the backyard, they'll design them, they'll build them. They have electrical engineers, IT, graphic people over there. They do everything. 3D printers, water jet cutters, whatever you need done, they can do. You've got to go to Hamel Machine Company. Go to their website. Just Google Hamel Machine, and you'll see their website and all the different areas of expertise that they work in. And it's amazing. A little Niagara Falls here, Hamel Machine Company. Around the world, they deal. If you need anything fixed, go see Hamel Machine Company. They're going to take care of you. They're great people, and they do fantastic work for everybody. Support our sponsors because they support the show. Hamel Machine Company. Tell them Paul from your city, your voice sent you. Get over there today. It's spring. Your lawnmower isn't running. Something's broken. Get it fixed. Go over there. They can help you out. Okay, let's move on to this election here. Now we got the Three Stooges running here. We got Pierre Poilievre. Did I say that right? I always get it wrong. Poilievre. I just call him PP. I still can't get that right. And I wrote it down in syllables so I would get it right. And I still can't do it. We got him. We got the Carnival man, Carnage, Mark Carnage, Liberals, and then we got Dingaling Singh for the NDP. Is he going to be the NDP leader?
Well, I mean, he is right now. He's gonna.
Is he going to stay?
I mean, he'll stay there till the election's over. I mean, he doesn't even want to call an election now. That guy, he's got to be the dumbest politician with the least sense of where people are ever seen in my entire life. He had an opportunity. He could have been actually leader of the opposition at one point. The Liberals were polling so low. If he had pulled the trigger on an election, he could have had a free house Stornoway over there.
Yeah, exactly.
He could have had a free living. He loves free living. That guy.
Oh, he's what's he called?
Maserati Marxist.
Yeah, and I call him the Raha Rolex.
Yeah, Maserati Marxist.
But I love that Marxist, the Maserati Marxist. I like Bernie Sanders driving this Ferrari. But yeah, so we got these three, and then we got Schreiner, who's the green?
I don't even know.
May?
I know she's gone.
There?
She's gone.
Did she finally leave?
Yeah, she's been gone like for a while. Yeah, she comes around every once in a while, but she's gone. She's not drunk anymore. I
don't know what she's doing. And then you've got that's it, Max Bernier, PPC party, who I like what he says the best of anybody, but he can't get elected in his own riding, so I don't think he has a prayer. 0 seats. That's what he's.
When you don't got a chance to win anything, you have the luxury of saying whatever you want. First of all, but secondly, Max is just a grifter. T-shirt, hat salesman, and that's how he lives. That's all I got to say about him. So, anyways, as far as what's going on here's the election. In my opinion, you fight leftism any way you can, in any capacity you can, anytime. It doesn't matter, because the most dangerous threat to our society and to our sovereignty are these wacko leftists. And all these people who cry and right now are thumping their chests about Canadian sovereignty and wrapping themselves in the flag and saying all this stuff. We're an independent, free country, Canada. We got to be, we're strong, and we're gonna do. And they put on this thing, and they Captain Canada all of a sudden, right? They're the first jerks. Okay, they're the first jerks. Okay, who support these morons, like these idiots like Trudeau and Carney and Freeland, who would sell us out to the WEF, to China, to whoever at the first second.
Yes,
sell out your sovereignty. They already tried. They've been trying to forever. The WEF and the WHO and to Chinese interference and all that other stuff. Okay, so if you really believe in Canada as a country and as an independent sovereign state in this trade fight, then you should believe it in the fight for your sovereignty internationally, which means staying out of those stupid organizations that have nothing to do with Canadian society or Canadian values. Nothing. Okay? What they are is destructive. They want to tear down society, tear down its institutions so that they can control everything from a central world government. And for all you want to say about Trump and back there, he is the biggest opponent of theirs. And if you give me a choice between anyone who is an opponent of them and being with them, I'll choose the opponent every single time. I don't care who it is. Okay? So I don't care what it is they got to say to get elected either. If they oppose that DEI woke, I'm gonna swear soon. I'm gonna swear. I don't want to, but if they oppose all that stuff, okay, then that's the guy you want, because they aren't gonna tear down your society. Okay,
that's right.
It's that simple.
And that's why Trump. He's out of WHO. He's out of NATO. He's out of the Paris Accord. He's out of all this stuff. All these people who are grifters, they steal money from taxpayers. It's a big Ponzi scheme.
$240 million to support trans and LGBTQ or whatever it is, minorities in Bangladesh.
Yeah,
just given away.
Just giving away our money.
Just given away a week ago by a guy who is resigning and his parting gift. Now, who did that go to? I just want to know how big of a trans and LGBT community they have in Bangladesh that needs $240 million to support. I'm just curious. Not that we should be supporting it for any dollar.
Don't spend that in Canada.
No. So Well, actually, we spend more. But anyways,
Yeah, probably.
So the whole point is, why are we giving it to them? I just want to know why. What is the point? And who did that? Okay, these are the people you need to fight against. And somebody should ask Mark Carnage what he thinks about that particular donation. Tell the Canadian people, Mark Carnage, because he won't even talk to the media anymore. He won't talk to any independent media outlets. Okay, now this is a guy running for prime minister. He's actually the prime minister right now, and he's unelected. But what he thinks about that? What do you think about 240 million being given to some NGO out in Bangladesh? Just give me an answer on that.
Well, see, NGOs, and Trump's already proved this with Elon, they are just ways to skirt around the government having to be responsible, and most of them are involved in kickbacks
100%.
to the muckety mucks in the government.
That's correct.
They run them through NGOs because they can't be attacked by the government. If it was a government organization, then they could be audited and they could be held responsible. But giving it to an NGO, they do what they want with the money. They don't have to report back to the government.
That's it. They send some of their nieces and nephews and cousins and friends over there to run the NGO or set one up. Okay, set up some bank accounts here, there, and everywhere. Okay, they take the money, they distribute it as admins. They might hold a couple of rallies and get arrested in Bangladesh for doing it. Okay, because I don't think that the government's too LGBTQ friendly over there.
No.
Okay.
No.
So just an observation. Like, I'm not making any disparaging remarks about the LGBT community in Bangladesh or the government in Bangladesh or the country of Bangladesh. It's just an observation. I just don't think they're that friendly with the LGBTQs. Okay.
I think they could cut their heads off and throw them off buildings.
I don't know. I don't think that happens in Bangladesh, but they might get, I don't know. Who knows, assaulted or whatever. But at the end of the day, I don't think there's that many out there. Okay, I honestly, and I'm curious to know, like, where that amount of money is going to go. Like, so whose niece or whose nephew? What's the connection? You have to follow the money, right?
Always follow the money.
It'll go through 6 bank accounts and then it'll get back to somebody here.
Well, my concern right now is that, Carney's got the bump. Of course, as soon as you get mentioned, you get a bump, right? As soon as he got nominated. He's not. I don't think he's prime minister yet. Trudeau's still got to step down. He hasn't done that yet. But he's de facto. He's the de facto prime minister. But at the end of the day, Pierre is going to lose ground if he don't stick to his right roots. Like all the things he said he was going to do, curb immigration and everything else. And I was disturbed by his comment when he said, I stand in support of Ukraine, because I would have rather have him say, I stand in support of peace, which means I stand in support of Trump.
Well,
so I wish he would have just said, I stand in support of peace. It would have made me feel a lot better about where he stands. Does he stand with Zelensky in the cocaine addicted criminal dictator? I don't get what he's saying there.
Well, I think that Pierre does want peace in Ukraine. He stands with the people of Ukraine. Obviously, they've been invaded, but I don't think that he would commit Canadian dollars in any significant amounts to the Ukraine. And if you look at it, like it's really a weird situation we're in, because we got 1.5 million ethnic Ukrainians in Canada who vote. So you kind of have to.
Is that pandering?
Well, it's not pandering, but it's reality. You got to get elected, right? And I'm not saying that he's lying. I'm sure he does support the people of Ukraine. Supporting the people of Ukraine is supporting peace. So he will, in most respects, support peace. I'm sure that everybody's looking for a peaceful solution.
Not Trudeau. He said $10 billion, and he said he's going to put troops. Boots on the ground.
Yeah. Well, Trudeau's a little bit of a nut job. We all know that, right? Like,
can't vote for that.
So, sacrificing Canadian kids for a futile war that benefits, defense companies is not really a great step.
No.
But the end goal obviously is peace over there. I'm sure he supports the Ukrainian people in spirit, and I believe that's how he meant it. I don't know really that Canada's contribution is so small, anyways. Regardless of how much, I mean, even if we send money over there, it's small. It's almost pointless. It's futile because it doesn't, it doesn't really do much. Other than it's such a big conflict. We don't have any real. We sent some weapons over there. What else? We sent some, yeah, some personnel carriers.
We don't have a lot of troops to send.
Stuff like that. We don't have any troops to send over. Honestly, I think what was it? We saw Canadian Armed Forces
25,000 or something.
Yeah, it's not to disparage our armed forces because they're the bravest when we in any fight that we've ever been in. They're the bravest of all of them. Yeah, but the problem is we just don't have any. We don't have the support. We don't have the equipment. We don't have the numbers. We don't have we don't have any of it. Right.
Well, I think that PP has got to stick to his right wing. I mean, he's going to want to tend to go like Scheer and O'Toole did.
No,
and we need a Trumpian guy. I think that's what people are looking for. But I don't know if a Trumpian guy can win in Canada.
He's not a Trump. Look, Pierre's a Canada First guy, and he understands Canada's position in the world. He understands Canada's economic prosperity is at stake with certain things. So he needs to focus on that. He's not really concerned, I don't think, with supporting one position or another. Yeah, maybe you don't agree 100% with his position on one thing or the other, but like I said, there's no issue. Like if you agree with somebody on 80% of stuff, if there's one issue that you don't agree with, so what? You're not going to agree. If you're agreeing with someone 100% of the time, they're lying to you. They're lying to you unless you're that person. There's no way you can agree 100% with everything that's said. And politically, things get said, and the mood of support or whatever is there. But actions are another thing. So I just say stick with the guy who is the best option to get rid of the nutty leftists and wokeists. I don't care, if you love Canadian society and sovereignty and all that stuff, then Pierre's the guy to vote for. It's that simple.
Can he win a majority?
Oh, yes.
Because here's the problem. If he wins a minority, what's going to happen. Ding-a-ling Singh and Carney will gang up on him, and he'll be gone in a year. They'll be calling another election.
Yeah, but Harper had two minorities, and then he had a majority, right? But I don't think. Look, I think that Canadians, in the end, when it comes down to it, when an actual campaign happens, so you always get the bump after the leadership race, but then people come back to reality and they realize how crazy things are with these people. So Carney right now is developing a strategy where he's going to lie to the Canadians. He's going to say he's going to get rid of the carbon tax. That's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. He'll maybe suspend it temporarily or find another way to do it. But it's just, if you want the carbon tax gone, if you want to, and if you're complaining about tariffs, then you should be 100% voting for Pierre, because the biggest tariff we have is the carbon tax.
Exactly.
It's the carbon tax, the biggest tariff we have.
So we gotta hope he wins a majority, and then we don't have to worry about these other dingalings.
No, exactly. If, give the Conservatives a majority government, they get rid of the carbon tax. They start making regulations a little bit less. They stop participating in all this DEI nonsense and the social experiment that we've been going through. Actually, social destruction that we've been going through. We get immigration numbers back down to a sustainable level, and we start to unleash the power of the economy. We have power. The Canadian economy has power. It's been held back for the last 10 years by constant adjustments. Like there's a whole list of things that Trudeau done tax-wise, that just tax-wise have hurt private investment, company investment, like the idle income tax change, where if someone invested in a rental property, like a company invested in rental properties, then they had to pay 50% tax on the income from that property. Like, that's crazy, right? And what does that do? That stifles investment, right? It stifles investment. Nobody who wants to buy an investment property, okay, if you got to pay, they get, so a doctor says, oh, geez, I got a little bit of extra money, and I'm going to buy it with my corporation, and I'm going to buy this other building, and I'm going to rent it out. And on that rent, he's going to have to duke the government 50% on it. Like, that's crazy. Get rid of that idle income. Get rid of the capital gains increase. I mean, that's gone now. Anyways, like it never became law. So, but get rid of that capital gains increase. Get rid of all the other stuff that's been tweaked and put in as a carbon tax. This, like, all this stuff it's economy stifling. It keeps you down. Like, it weighs you down. So it's like putting bricks on your back. Like sooner or later you can't walk.
We need Doge.
We do need Doge.
100%. We need somebody to come in. Kevin O'Leary is the guy I'd love to see, and clean up the government, because Trudeau expanded it by 130,000 people or some crazy number.
300,000, I think it was.
300,000. We gotta contract government, lower taxes. We gotta negotiate with Trump. We gotta have somebody who can negotiate with Trump, and we also have to curb immigration. We got to curb immigration and let Canada catch up to what Trudeau's done. And if he can do that, Canada's going to be looking good. But we need somebody who's going to do that. We know the Liberals won't. We know the NDP won't, because they're tax and spend. They're tax and spend people. That's their mantra. That's the kind of animal they are.
Yeah.
And they're going to give millions away to every country in the world and every wacko thing that you can imagine. And that's why we're in trouble as a country right now. Some people have said that Carney, being the governor of the Bank of England and being the governor of the Bank of Canada, is here because Canada right now is in probate, and he is here to liquidate it.
Yeah, well, he's a unabashed globalist.
He is.
And if you want those WEF globalist elitists, that's true. That we just sighed a big sigh of relief because we got rid of one, right?
Trudeau.
We got rid of one.
Yeah.
And this guy's no different.
He's worse.
He is worse because he has a little bit more education.
He's a smarter version.
Well, no, he's not even smarter. He's not. I don't think he's any smarter. He just has more powerful connections.
He does.
Yeah, no, he does.
He does. For
Absolutely
sure.
does.
Yeah.
So if you want the elite of the elite selling out your country, that's Mark Carney. Mark Carnage. You know who we need? I got to give a shout out to somebody.
Yeah, go ahead.
We need Eddie Eagle soaring high here.
Eddie.
My favorite Métis. Soaring high, looking down on what they're doing.
There you go. Soaring high, Eddie Eagle. Soaring high in the sky, watching everything.
That's it.
I don't. Eddie talks a good story.
Yeah, well,
I don't know if he knows what he's doing.
He told me to give him a shout out.
He's a great guy. I love Eddie Eagle myself.
There you go.
Eddie Eagle, born Christmas Day.
Huh.
His birthday is on Christmas Day, and he stands at around 5'0".
That's it.
Eddie, we love you. Anyway, on that note, we're getting out of here. My name is Paul Calamere. This is Chris Rigas, my guest for today, and we've been talking tariffs and Trump. That's what we've been talking.
Another 3 hours we could do.
And we can do another 3 hours easy. Support our sponsors, Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop, Pete's Pizza on Victoria Avenue, and Hamel Machine Company. Thank you for tuning in. Smash the subscribe button so you get notifications when the shows go up. This will be up by about 3 o'clock, hopefully. And we will see you tomorrow with Finally Friday in the studios of 4680Q. Have a great day, everybody. God bless you all. And enjoy this beautiful weather out there today. Thanks a lot, Chris. We appreciate you coming in.
Always a pleasure.
All righty. We'll see you later, you guys. Take care.